right, so we know LSU reports yesterday, they practice today. So what better thing to do than to just jump out with bold proclamations and predictions for LSU football's camp and football season, and we're going to do it with the quarterback position here in segment number 1 before we get to Billy Embody. Here's what I want. I want to know what camp looks like. I want to know when they announce a starter, if they do. You can tell me they're not going to announce one. They're going to just see who breaks the huddle. You can tell me they're going to announce one today or in 2 weeks or the first press conference or whatever. When are they going to announce a starter? Who is that starter for the Florida State game? And the last question on the board, who starts against A&M? So what does camp look like? When do they announce a starter? Who is it for Florida State? Who is it for A&M? Go first here. What do you think the flow of camp looks like in terms of these starting quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of Miles Brennan and Jaden Daniels very, very early on. I think they're going to dominate the reps, and I think you're going to see, probably Nuss getting a lot of reps with the twos and, probably, Walker getting a lot of reps with the younger guys in the freshman group, that third group. So I think those guys are going to get the nod early on, and depending on how they perform, as camp goes on, I think they'll change the reps as they go. But I think right now, if Miles has a great camp, he's probably going to keep the lead.
Okay, I'm going to give all mine at the end to kind of keep them together, so we'll keep the thoughts coherent. When do you think Brian Kelly tells us who the starting quarterback is going to be?
I think I'll go right before the Florida State game. I don't think they'll wait until kickoff, wait until, we're kicking the ball off and you find out who's running out there. But
so do you mean he has a Monday press conference, he has a Thursday press conference, or do you think College Game Day catches him in the hotel on Saturday morning and he says who it is on national TV?
I think Saturday. I'll go hold off to the last minute.
Right.
I think they'll wait to the burning dawn and then they'll let the world know then.
And who do you believe that will be for Florida State?
I think it's going to be Miles. Although we'll save if I want it to be, but I think it'll be Miles.
Who starts against Texas A&M, last regular season game of the season?
I'm going to go Garrett Nussmeier. I think he takes over the helm by the end of the season.
All right, that's Jeremy's thoughts. He says that early on it's a lot of Miles Brennan and Jaden Daniels. Says they announced a starter on Saturday of the Florida State game, which is on Sunday, obviously. He thinks that it'll be Miles Brennan and that Nussmeier will take the reins. And I don't think that's outlandish in any way, shape, or form. Occam's razor is a philosophy that says whatever is most likely or is the simplest answer will be the answer. Mm-hmm. And I have said since the spring, with all the buzz around Garrett Nussmeier, that my guess was that he was going to be the quarterback. In fact, I said that this morning on an Atlanta radio show that Chuck Oliver does. And that's what I've said for 6 months now, 5 months now. I'm going to revise my thoughts on the whole thing, and I'm going to keep it. I'm a chalk guy. I'm not a hot take guy. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. I'm generally speaking kind of a go with the flow. Easiest answer is the right answer. So I'm going to say this is what camp looks like. I think that all three guys get a lot of reps early, with Miles taking the first one. I think that Miles will be given the first opportunity. I think he will maintain that role through camp. I think that Garrett Nussmeier will fade towards the back, towards 3, and Jaden Daniels be there at 2 because of his starting experience and the reason they brought him in. And I think Miles will be announced as a starting quarterback on Thursday before the first game in Brian Kelly's press conferences. Ogeron and Miles had them on Wednesday. Kelly's going to have them on Thursdays. So I think that on Thursday that he will announce Miles Brennan as the starting quarterback. I also think that they're going to have some rough patches early in the season and in the middle of the season, and there will be another quarterback inserted. But I think Miles is going to start the A&M game too. I'm going to go with the guy who's been here the longest. I'm going to go with the guy who threw for 400 yards a game in his limited time as the starter. I'm going to go for the guy who's a veteran, who's got plenty of talent. I'm going to go with Miles Brennan. Would it surprise me at all? Well, it would surprise me a little bit. Would it shock me at all if Garrett Nussmeier was named the starting quarterback and Miles Brennan flat transferred in 3 weeks? Probably not in this area in college football. It probably would not stun me. Like that's how this thing rolls. We had a day a couple years ago where 2 LSU quarterbacks left on one day. So that happens. But I'm going to go with the simplest answer. I've gone with Nussmeier for 5 months, and I'm going to change my tune here when we're making predictions on the record as a proclamation. I think that Miles is going to keep this thing throughout the year.
Yeah, I think that if we see that version of Miles we saw in that Missouri game and in that Vanderbilt game, I think that's a great brand of football for LSU because he was taking care of the football and he was looking to throw the ball down the field. And I think with the weapons that's going to be at his disposal, if he can stay healthy, stay upright, and they can find an offensive line that protect him, I think Miles is fully capable of having a big-time season. I think for me, my only concern is obviously the injury history. Can he sustain a full season of getting hit, and taking those licks and taking those pounds and being able to get back up time and time again? I'm a little worried about that. That's why I kind of want the younger guy out there who I think has a little more escapability. But we've seen Miles do it. We just need to see him string it together for a little bit longer.
As we sit here today, right now, this is just a totally different exercise. With 10 being Joe Burrow and 1 being me with my left hand, where do you think Miles Brennan is right now as a college quarterback?
Joe said that's very, very special. And you with your left hand, maybe you get a little shuffle handoff. Maybe we'll see that.
I can toss it to a running back.
Okay, so I'll probably put Miles somewhere probably a 6. I'd say a 6 on that.
What do you think Jaden Daniels is?
Ooh, those are big shoes. You're putting a Joe, man. Those are big shoes. I'd say 5 right now. I need to see a lot more.
Nuss.
I go 5 as well. I think he's still right there at that 5, but I think his potential goals, he just has that higher ceiling to me.
I think that's all really reasonable. I think those are not far off from where I would be. Jaden Daniels' freshman year was so impressive, and if you look at that and extrapolate it out over 3 more years, you're thinking this is going to be the all Pac-12 quarterback. And then, the last couple of years, not as special. And then Miles, the sample size is so small, and Nussmeier, the sample size is even smaller. As Nussmeier, it was obvious when we saw him last year in camp. It was limited, but he was unafraid and totally willing to make a play. Mm-hmm. He was willing to extend a play, throw it across his body, to take a deep shot, to take a hit. He was willing to do all those types of things. It was not, basically what the Saints asked Jameis to do last year. It was check it down, hand it off. He's willing to go in there and try to make a play. And as a freshman, when you're down the depth chart and you got guys out there who are older than you and more experienced than you, that makes a lot of sense. Go out there and try to make a splash and see what you can do. Maybe he's a totally different guy now as a sophomore. That's reasonable to believe that he's different.
Yeah, and that's why I think I like him the most. I think being in that offense and knowing what we know about the coordinators, not saying trying to take any shots at anyone right now, but knowing how that offense was being run last year and seeing, how different it's going to be this year, and just him getting that experience, playing in some moments and being able to play in that Arkansas game, which is a tight game down to the wire. I think if he can, the biggest, Achilles heel for Garrett is those turnovers. If he takes those turnovers away, he has a big time arm. We saw him rifle in that touchdown against Ole Miss. That was one of the more impressive throws I saw from LSU quarterback all last season. If he can do that and not turn the ball over, I think he definitely has potential to make some big time throws.
Not that the fan handicapping of this race matters at all, because it doesn't. And we're essentially in that number too. But I've never seen such a lukewarm environment for the competition. There's usually a situation where you've got an incumbent starter. Either everyone loves him or there's a lot of people this guy's not going to get us there. I'd rather see the guy I've never seen before. In this case, you don't really have that. Miles has started a couple of games, but not enough for us to everybody's just kind of forgotten about the 2020 season around here. I don't think they have in College Station. I don't think they have in Tuscaloosa, but we have, because it stunk. And so there's not enough. Miles didn't do enough for someone to say, this guy's awesome, he's the dude. And he didn't do enough for us to go, this guy's got no chance of being the guy. Nussmeier, we haven't seen enough. Jaden Daniels, nobody watched Arizona State play last year. Nobody in Baton Rouge knows what this guy is. You may have put on YouTube for a little bit, but honestly, do you really have a feel for it? So, no one has a strong opinion on this in terms of the fan reaction, which to me is fascinating and very different. I have not seen a quarterback situation like this in all my time watching LSU.
No, it's very unique, and I think it's very strange when you have a 6-year quarterback in that room, but he doesn't have the most experience. Normally, that would be the farthest thing from the case. But I think with this situation, you got a guy in Jaden who has no SEC experience playing the quarterback position. Nuss has very, very limited experience playing quarterback. So it's a bunch of guys who really haven't played that much football, and so it creates an environment where you kind of try to find find things to be excited for. You try to point to little moments that they've all had, but to be honest, none of them has strung it together long enough to really be that guy in college football. So it's going to be fun to see kind of how this whole thing plays out and where the coaches kind of who they feel can lead this team best, because really, like we said, those guys 5, 6, maybe max, but they do have potential to kind of get better than that.
I'm trying to think of a Citizens Bank poll question. I don't want to ask quite simply who's going to be the starting quarterback for LSU in the opener. That's too obvious. We've done it a million times. I want to angle something towards, like, how confident are you that you know who LSU is going to start in week 1? Yes, like 100%, 60%. I mean, that's maybe not the greatest question, but that's where the angle is in this. Like, I have never seen a situation where nobody has a real feel for it.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going 50-50, man. I think you can, I mean, really, 25, maybe 30, mix a little bit in there, maybe a small glimmer of hope for Walker. But yeah, I think no guy has really showed that enough, and especially in recent history. So it's going to be fun. I think this fall camp, there's going to be a lot on the line for this season, and who kind of gets that first bite at the apple to see if they can be the guy.
Thanks so much for watching Hunt and Hill on YouTube.
Now do us a favor. Hit the red subscribe button below and throw us a like. We'll see you next time.